Welcome back to the Hez Project. I'm John Ortolaza, and I'm about to do a review for episode 5 of Invincible. It's a Prime Video animated show about superheroes from the creator of The Walking Dead, Robert Kirkman himself. And it's fantastic. If you guys haven't checked out my video reviewing the first 4 episodes of this show, I highly recommend it. There's some spoilers. I don't get into like beat for beat everything that happens in the 4 episodes. Mainly just what happens at the end of the first episode, because that is the most intriguing part of this show. And I just can't wait for everything to explode in the next couple episodes. But episode 5 is here. Let's talk about it before the new one comes out tomorrow. And I probably will be doing that one on time. We'll see. Now, I'm not going to remember everybody's names in this episode or show, but essentially this episode opens up with this character called Titan. He's able to change his skin and his molecular structure, I guess, to become a giant rock or concrete or just a hard substance. And yeah, he's invincible. He's like the Thing or Colossus from Marvel Comics. And it looks like he's kind of doing bad, but you slowly start to realize he's actually working for someone else. He's like paying off a debt he has to this guy named Metalhead. I forgot what his name is exactly, but you know, he's got this giant like Daft Punk like head, just a little more stuff going on. Essentially, this Metalhead guy hired Titan to steal this micro SD card so he can implement it inside his head and just become more powerful and whatnot. And not entirely sure. That was not very interesting in my opinion. What I was really looking forward to was more development with Mark, Invincible, and his father, Nolan, who's Omni-Man. I love that part of this show, and I just want to see more of a continue. But I know you gotta set up other things, you want to do other things. That's totally fine with me. It's just, I didn't care for this Metalhead guy. But we did get a lot of Mark and him balancing his social life with his girlfriend and his hero life, saving the world. I love that part of the show, especially when his girlfriend is acting a certain way. She's kind of like, oh, I don't know if this is right anymore, but he always tries to reassure her and make it seem like everything's okay. We're gonna make it work, but you know, you got all those supervillains to worry about. But it's not just the supervillains who are keeping Mark away from his social life, from his girlfriend. No, we see in this episode, Nolan, his father, is the one who's pulling him away so he can train him to become a more refined superhero for the world. And then he gets a call from his girlfriend saying, oh, shoot, I gotta be there in like 20 minutes or so. I'm gonna be late. So, nope, your training comes first, his father says. And I can't help but feel bad for Mark because he wants this life with his girlfriend and he wants to be the hero for the city just like his father, because he very much looks up to his father, which is the biggest thing about this show that is going to crush us all when Mark finds out what his father has done to the other Guardians. I said in my last video, that is just an episode, that's an emotional scene, tearjerker waiting to happen. I cannot wait for that to go down, honestly. In this episode, I do think that the heroic aspect of Mark's life does get the better of him, because there is an event later on in the episode where, you know, his girlfriend invited him to, and then he doesn't show up at all. He was always about 15, 20 minutes, sometimes 2 hours late. This time he just didn't show up at all, and she got a little worried. We find out why. Titan, from the beginning of the episode, he finds Invincible and asks him for help. He wants him to take down the Metalhead guy with him. Mark brings up Titan asking him for help over dinner with his parents, and of course his father says no, flat out, you're not doing it, it's beneath you, because he's got a certain mindset about what heroic acts he should be doing, especially because we saw a couple episodes back where there was like 2 or 3 things that happened, 2 pretty crazy things, like explosions were happening, people were dying, and Omni-Man didn't do anything because he just didn't think it was worth it and didn't think it was worth his time. That's when you start to see what kind of guy he is. He is not a superhero. He is not the man that this world needs, and he's slowly trying to mold Invincible Mark into himself, essentially. It's very weird. I like it, but it sucks that he's turning him into this monster, essentially. He's trying to, at least. It's scary, man, and I really hope that Mark sees the light at the end of the tunnel and understands that his father's wrong, because he is. And his mother bravely and awesomely says, helping someone is never beneath you. And that just, oh, Oh, so Mark ends up helping Titan. They go and infiltrate this giant tower where the Metalhead is, and he's got his own freaking Legion of Doom there with all their sorts of powers. Like, one guy looked like the Human Torch, but he was kind of almost plasma-y. Maybe he was like the Plasma Torch or something. And there's another guy who had like electrical powers. And there was this big brooding dude with a giant hammer. Basically, long story short, they got their asses handed to them. Invincible was not invincible. He was vulnerable in this episode, in this scene. He got his ass handed to him up until the point where I thought he died. They made it very clear that Invincible was very much injured in this fight. Titan, I think he just got knocked out very early on, so we didn't really see much of him. But then we see Invincible's old friends, because he detached from that group in the last episode, I believe. They come and save him. Sort of. They got their asses handed to them too. I mean, the one guy who doesn't have any powers, I think he died. He's done for. And then the one little girl who can turn into a giant monster, but every time she goes back, she becomes younger, and she's slowly becoming even younger. I think she's supposed to be like 30 years old, but she comes across as like a 13-year-old. Very weird, but kind of a cool concept. I do like that. I think she's done for it too, basically. I think she got the axe as well. I don't think they're gonna completely be killed off. I think in the next episode we're gonna see like the robot voiced by Zachary Quinto. I think he's gonna like revive them some way, shape, or form. Because, I don't know, that's like half your team you just killed off. I did want to mention this. During the beginning of the fight where you saw Invincible starting to struggle, the camera panned outside and like right above the building, you saw a red cape flapping, and it was Omni-Man. Omni-Man was flying above the building, just watching everything happen, watching his son being brutally beaten to death. Like, that was insane. That was definitely him. And you even saw, like, right before Invincible passed out, when the paramedics came to take him, you saw that he saw his father in the sky. So, what was that about, man? Like, this episode, Omni-Man literally did nothing. And he's a dick for it. I'm excited for these last 3 episodes, because I really hope that we do get the reveal through Mark's eyes of what his father has done and what his father is trying to do, but whatever's going on behind the scenes. You could even see in this episode his mother is becoming suspicious of Nolan. So there's something there, guys, and I feel like it's gonna explode before this whole season ends. I really hope it does. If not, big old cliffhanger until next year, which will piss me off, but I'll love every second of it. Guys, let me know down below, what did you think of this episode of Invincible? Are you watching the show? I think you should, because it's insane. If you're a fan of superhero stuff and The Walking Dead and goriness, it's like all 3 of that mashed together, because it gets insane in this show. I'm telling you, I never would have thought we'd get something like this, an animated show about superheroes that's essentially like a rated R, TVMA, whatever you want to call it. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and be sure to stick around, guys, because I'm covering the rest of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We got 2 more episodes left, and we got 3 more episodes of Invincible. So you might want to stick around, guys, because there's a bunch of content, and there's always more to come.